conservative media and other conservative news outlets are being sued over their decision to spread an image of a man that they wrongfully identified as a neo-Nazi mass shooter. Now, before we get into the lawsuit, it's worth getting familiar with the shooting in question. That way you can understand like the backstory and how serious it is to pin this very serious crime on an innocent person.
All right, guys. So today, Anna brought some information to us, and this is something really worth talking about because the deception in media is really, it's annoying to me. It's more than annoying. It's like, I feel betrayed by it, okay? Especially in, quote, right-wing media outlets. I do. To be on that side of you could say the mainstream side, watching the mainstream news, believing everything that I heard. And then I figured out that there was a lot of propaganda in the mainstream news. And then when I moved over to right-wing media, I had to learn that there's propaganda there too. And it's not about calling myself right wing or not, right? But it's more just about like being independent enough to understand how to look at things in an objective manner and collect information and share it with integrity. Boom. And so if right-wing media is saying that that's what they do and they keep calling out CNN and everybody else for not doing the same thing, why are you guys involved in this situation? And so we're going to go ahead and take a look at exactly what Anna Kasparian is talking about here.
So Mauricio Garcia, a 36-year-old Texas resident, has accused Fox News, Univision, and Newsmax, along with influencers Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, and InfoWars host Owen Schroyer, among others, of having recklessly disregarded basic journalistic safeguards and published the photo of an innocent man, branding him as a neo-Nazi murderer to his local community and the nation at large. So if you're unfamiliar with the shooting in question, it took place in May of last year. A gunman shot and killed 8 people at a mall in Allen, Texas. The alleged shooter was later identified as 33-year-old Mauricio Martinez Garcia. He was a self-avowed neo-Nazi who engaged in racist and violent rhetoric online for months leading up to the shooting. He was wearing a tactical vest during the shooting with RWDS, standing for Right Wing Death Squad, as a patch on his vest. There were also multiple neo-Nazi symbols as tattoos. He had an AR-15 and a handgun on him, and he was killed on the day of the shooting by authorities. Now, as networks and online sleuths worked to identify the shooter, the lawsuit alleges that the defendants misidentified Garcia as Martinez Garcia for days, leading to harassment and death threats against an innocent man and his family. And so I'll get into the details of what each individual media figure was alleged to have done in spreading the misinformation. But there seemed to just be this obsession with identifying who the shooter was and figuring out who it was, because some on the right thought that the description of the shooter as a neo-Nazi was some sort of psyop to go against conservatives in the country and conservative media figures. Putting out information that you have not confirmed, and especially pinning something as serious as a mass shooting.
Okay, so because now she's gonna get into her opinions about the situation. Okay, let's recap for a second. Now, I do remember this happening last year. I absolutely do remember it, because this, when this thing happened, the shooting, the person that they showed, they were Spanish. And so what happened was a lot of influencers and, of course, right-wing media were saying, oh, they're already saying it's a white supremacist, a neo-Nazi, and the person looks Spanish, like, oh, Spanish people are white now and everything. And I remember this being a whole thing because like I was making jokes about it, like, like Spanish people leveled up, y'all white supremacists now, like making jokes, right? But they used the wrong picture. Now, be clear, the premise still remains, okay? Because the actual picture of the person who did the crime, he still looks Spanish, okay? Don't get me wrong. So the premise remains. It's just that you guys used the wrong picture to make your point. You moved too fast. People online were trying to look up to see who Mauricio Garcia was and forgot to put the Martinez in the middle. So they came up with this picture of the 36-year-old, and the guy's like, that's not me. That's not me. And people swore that it was him. And now you have people now, Tim Pool, he's a little bit out of it because he only had his face on a thumbnail. Tim Pool does not make his own thumbnails, more than likely. So he's not really liable for that. And by the way, guys, if you like these videos that I've been making, trying to have balanced takes on these topics, on these situations that are happening out here, please don't forget to hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel, guys. We're definitely getting out this real factual, balanced dialogue, information, all of that, in a realistic manner. I mean, I just don't know what else, right? We're bringing the asteroid with reality. Okay, I guess that's the asteroid these days, reality. Anyway, so yeah, so coming back to the point, yeah, so yeah, we know. Like, listen, you will have to be. I don't know where you are, or you're not a serious person if you can't agree with the fact that as soon as there is a mass something in a mall or whatever, they're already ready to say, who's the person? Who's the person? He's white. Is he white? Is he white? And lo and behold, the person's white. And so then it's like white supremacy. But this guy was Spanish. I don't do words like white supremacy, even if the person had a patch that said the RDS thing or whatever, right? RDW, whatever. You have crazy people who just come together and make groups and do crazy things. They also like something called entrapment. We're gonna be careful, we're gonna tread lightly here with this information. Some of our 3-letter agencies have been known to start certain groups, and we'll just leave it right there. Right. So to me, right wing is not deadly or dangerous, but there is a narrative that is placed out there in the mainstream media. But the problem is, if you want to combat the narrative, you can't sit here and just give out false information. And when they ask you to retract it because, this is becoming a threat to his livelihood and his family, you didn't retract it. And so they never came back and retract it and say, oh, whoopsie daisy, we got the wrong Spanish guy. But be clear, it's still a Spanish guy.
Most of them did corrections, and Univision seems to have, again, they'll have to see it in court, right, and prove it, but seems to have not acknowledged that they actually had the wrong mugshot in really large shows on television, and they pretended, if the plaintiffs are right, pretended that they only used it in a small online show, obviously to limit damages if it turns out that they were guilty. You got to be wondering at this point, why did they bother using the wrong shot? Did they just all make an honest mistake? Well, I don't know whether it's honest or not. That's for the jury to decide. But apparently, the 36-year-old who's the wrong guy looked more Latino, so they wanted to be able to say, "Ha ha! Yeah. Look at how Latino he looks," and they're pretending he's a white supremacist. The actual guy actually had swastikas tattooed on his body, the lightning bolts from the Nazi era, etc.
All right, so slow down. All right, calm down, Cenk. Okay, you see what they do? We're gonna point it out together, right? Let's point out the little idiocies that's happening here, like the syncrasies or whatever, like, okay, yes. And I can't show you the pictures because of that situation, right? But the first guy, he definitely was, he did look Spanish, but so did the second guy. When you see his face, he looks Spanish. I don't know what to see. It's not like he had a big swastika on his nose or something, right? So my thing is they should have retracted and then showed the other guy, because the other guy looks Spanish too. So they could have made the same point with the other guy, right? It's not like it was some blonde-haired, Spaniard here, right? It was somebody who looks like they were Spanish. So but what Cenk does is says, well, the other guy looked Latino, so they could say that, oh, he looks more Spanish. But this guy, and I'm waiting for him to say that he didn't look Latino, right? But he didn't say that because he knows that he did too. So he says the other guy, he had the swastikas tattoos on his body and the lightning bolts. Yeah, but he wasn't walking around naked, so nobody saw that, right? So you see what I'm saying? Like, let's just have some integrity, man. Like, it's annoying when y'all do this.
And so he was definitely a white supremacist, even though he's Latino.
Yeah, but you are again gaslighting through the point you're being disingenuous, and you know that you're being disingenuous. Is genuous, okay? Okay, because again, he wasn't walking around buck naked for me to see the swastikas wherever they were in his body, on his body.
People don't have to be rational, especially lunatic killers.
What I want to understand is, why do you want to provide cover for white supremacists, right? Why?
That's such a good point.
Yeah, why don't I answer that for Anna Kasparian? And we could even end it there, because that's a very good question Anna does bring up. It's not about running cover for white supremacists. It's that this country is so divided and looking for the white supremacists around the corner, the white supremacist boogeyman. It is frustrating. It is tired. It's exhausting. This country is way too divided. Father God, let us still stay sovereign. I can't even say that. We are being, we are being invaded at the border. But anyway, I don't know what would happen if something happened in our shores, on our shores. I don't know, because people are so divided into all these groups, right? But there's one group, white people, that They can't have a group because as soon as 3 of them meet up, it's a white supremacist group or it's a militia, right? That's a problem. We can't have it like that in America. So yeah, why run cover? It's not running cover as if, first of all, for me, I don't use that term as a human being. I can't say that another human being is supreme over me. Yeah, Casey, but you get the ideology. No, I don't care. I officially take that over me, and I believe in God. So I'm not saying anything else is supreme over God, right? Okay, there's that. Now, we can't do this divide. We cannot keep on, villainizing white people. Where it's okay to say white supremacists, but we can't. There's other things we can't say. There are other groups that we cannot talk about at all. Okay, so, and I don't want it to even be tick for tat. But again, this narrative that the white supremacist militia coming around the corner. Let me just end off with this story. I remember when it was 2020 and this country was like, God, we are divided, but my goodness, it was just color revolution. It was just everything, right? And I had woken up to the to the nonsense, to the propaganda. And I remember it was right before elections, and I had already during the summertime, I went to this small town in Pennsylvania because I was helping out during the pandemic and stuff like that. So they stationed me there. And it was an amazing time. It was a very small town, right? But I was afraid to go because I used to hear this propaganda. Oh my God, they have the bad guys, the triple Ks and all that. And you see how the propaganda just runs deep. It's just ridiculous. And when it came time to vote, and I was, talking about different things, had some different experiences. I remember somebody said to me, like, if you vote a certain way, there's going to be militias, white militias. They're going to come and get you. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? This sounds delusional. Just so you know, I never thought that. That's delusional, right? And I'm like, this is Philadelphia, okay? It is not the Aryan, the Aryan boys coming after. No. All right. Let's be very clear. That's not what's erasing the kids here. All right. I'm very honest about that. I remember we were voting again in 2022 and they had signs in Philadelphia saying vote out racism. It is insulting. It is demeaning. I don't like it. So yeah, we're not running cover for the word white supremacy. We're running cover for the stop the divide. And it's not even running cover. It's calling out the obvious narrative that's always placed on white people to keep us divided. And it's not right.